My name is Beck Homer, and the picture was taken at the Redley Hotel in Scarborough, which was a hotel that me and my family used to go to quite a lot at weekends and for special occasions. So it's me and my dad at the dinner table. I'm kind of midway through a bread bun, and there's kind of a bitter lemon in a wine glass that I will have been drinking because I wanted a posh drink like the other grown-ups. And it looks like me and my dad are having a chat, and somebody's gone, "Hey, you guys, give us a smile, let's take a picture." And we've gone, "Okay," because there's no kind of big grins. It's not a very posed picture. It looks a bit like we were a bit caught off guard, maybe mid-convo. So yeah, we were both quite posy. So I imagine the fact we weren't able to kind of stand and I could put my hand on my hip and my dad could kind of make sure he looked all right, caught us off guard a bit, but it was probably a very good, other people see the kind of naturalness of it. It's weird because I've not been back probably since around that time really, but I'll always remember it. It was the only place we seemed to go for occasions with my dad's parents. I think they liked the regalness of it, even though really when you go in it is a real kind of old school 3-star hotel. I mean, it smells the same when I kind of go back, and the swimming pool's still the same, and even some of the staff have been there all this time, but it's not somewhere I've been back, especially now my grandma and granddad aren't alive, so it's kind of, there's no one to go back with really, but yeah, I don't have any bad memories of it at all. It's a very fond place. So my dad was called Phil, and he was a really big character. He was very charismatic and chatty and smiley. I don't remember him ever being sad or angry. He was a weekend dad, so I only ever saw him the odd day through the week, and then I would stay with him every weekend. He had a really good relationship with my mum. They weren't together, but I was very, very lucky that they got on really well. I mean, looking back, it feels like he was a lot older than he was, but he was only kind of early 20s when he had me, and he died when he was 40. So I'm kind of 35 now, so I can look back and realise that he was actually really young, and that maybe shone through. He was a young dad, and I was his only child, so every moment that we spent together was just full of laughter, and it was like a dream really. I felt very lucky to have a dad like him. He made everything fun. Very unrealistic. But he was very sporty. He was ill as long as I can remember, so he had kidney failure, and was diagnosed quite a young age, so it was just part of him, and he didn't seem to let it bother him. People didn't realise he was ill, so yeah, he was a character basically. He'd kind of, get me electric drum kits for my birthday, and then realise that it was a really stupid gift. We used to kind of make forts out of his dialysis boxes and order Chinese takeaway, and just things like that were just like something off a film, and they were just tiny moments really, because they were just weekends, and if you kind of count those weekends into the short time that we were together, it's a tiny amount of time really in my life, so I can only remember little snippets of it really, like little things like that stand out. So I remember the stupid fun stuff, and maybe that's why he was how he was, so I would remember the time we were together. When I tell the stories out loud, I realise how ridiculous some of them are and how lucky I am to have them, because when you do lose someone, you desperately well, I was desperately trying to think, well, I've got to remember every single thing about this person because I'm never going to see them again. I mean, it was 18 years ago that kind of my dad died, so I have a handful of pictures. I don't have any voice recordings, I don't have any videos. So things like that, the memories are very, very precious, and I do get scared that I'll forget them. That was my biggest thing, really. As every year ticks by, I kind of start to forget more, and that's scary. The only thing that really gives me comfort and stuff is listening to music, because we both really loved music. Bands like Hall & Oates and Go West and Hue&Cry, which are not very kind of people well known, but to us, like, I can just hear a song and it will just bring back so many memories, and I love that, and I'll always have that. I'll always have the music. When I was about 8, a television company came round at the local schools in this area and did some auditions, but we just kind of thought, we were just told to, come out and do this, and we didn't really know what it was for. And then the kind of next week, 8 of us were taken to Yorkshire Television in Leeds, and we did another kind of, I remember reading a script with this other person, and I just thought I was going with the flow and just thought it was part of school. And then got told that I'd got a part in a film, and that I was going to have 2 months off school, and that it was going to be filmed in the Saltburn, Harrogate, Ripon area, and that my dad was going to come with me as like my chaperone. And it feels like a bit of a blur, really, because it just, I don't know, one day I was at school and the next day I was learning all these words, and it was a big part. I was very, very lucky, and it was a huge experience. My dad absolutely, I mean, he just was over the moon. He loved the attention. He loved the fact we were kind of mixing with famous people, that there was a premiere, that, all these kind of really exciting things that I just was like, oh, right, this is quite cool. And, I had a tutor who taught me while I was off school and kept me up to date with that and helped me learn my lines. My dad used to just sit on like a director's chair and liked the fact you could, go and get a catering whenever you liked and things, and he loved it probably a bit more than me. But it was a great 2 months. We were together all the time. I was away from my mum that whole time, so it was the most time that we'd ever spent together. We shared hotel rooms, and we used to get sweets and pop brought to us, and it was a brilliant experience. But I mean, when I had to return to normal life, I got bullied by kids who didn't understand why I got to do that and they didn't. And I mean, obviously I can see it was jealousy, but when you're kind of 8 and trying to fit in and trying to be at school, you just want an easy life. And God, I wish I could tell my 8-year-old self that just to go with it and have the time of your life, but I can't do that. So I just said I didn't want to do it anymore. And I remember my dad being really upset, actually, which is probably the only time I've seen him upset. I think he was frustrated that I was, giving up on all this chance to be famous. I think he liked the idea of me being famous, whereas I just wanted, I enjoyed doing it, but I just wanted to have friends and a normal life. But he loved every bit of it, and would show and tell everybody that I was in a film, and carry the VHS around with him, and if you've got a video player, we can, my daughter's in this film. And I had really long hair, and they cut it all off into an awful bob, and it's like a helmet. I just remember, like, everywhere we went, my dad would just be like, this is Rebecca, she was in a film. He was so proud. So I didn't talk about it for ages and ages and ages, and around when I had to go up to secondary school, people were like, you were in that film, weren't you? And I was like, oh. It became such an embarrassment, but my dad was so proud. And then now I'm kind of like, look at this is pretty cool, look at this that I was in. It's actually his anniversary tomorrow, 18 years since he died. So tomorrow it's very modern of me, but I will put a picture on Instagram and a little kind of hope you're happy wherever you are. I call him Daddy Phil, kind of in front of my son's 3 and has no concept who my dad is. I mean, I talk about him, but you know, he doesn't know, and when he's older I will tell him who he is. And what I quite like is that he will be like a character to my son. He'll be a figment of his imagination, because he's, you know, and I quite like that, because that's what he feels like to me. It's like he's captured in time. Like I don't imagine my dad old, because he was 40 when he died. To me, he will always be 40. He's not growing old anywhere. He's captured in that moment, and I quite like that. He's not, because the place he was when he died is not the person that I like to remember, because he was that person for maybe 2 weeks in that whole 40 years he was alive. So I like to remember the kind of posy, flashy, charismatic dude, rather than the kind of really ill one.